I'm Chief Michael Spellman, S-P-E-L-L-M-A-N. Good morning. I'm very pleased to announce that we had a successful resolution to the criminal incident that we had occur out on Morse Avenue within the city of Groton. We have a subject in custody. No one was injured, and we were able to peacefully resolve a volatile situation. We want to give great credit to the Connecticut State Police Tactical Unit and their skilled negotiators. They greatly assisted us in bringing it to a positive resolution, and they worked very closely with our personnel. And I want to give great credit to my second-in-command, Captain Eric Jenkins, who was my right arm out there and really helped me significantly in bringing this to successful resolution. The accused I'll identify, and the charges are not completed yet. We are going to execute a search and seizure warrant upon the premises today to recover some evidence which will lead to additional charges. A formal news release should be out, I would anticipate, at the conclusion of the processing of that scene. Based on preliminary charges that we have taken into custody a party identified as a Kristen Anderson, and her date of birth is 8/22/69 of no certain address. She was the subject of a protective order, was in the premises illegally in violation of that. She's a convicted felon, and she will face a myriad of charges. We placed in here, per my order, a $250,000 cash bond on her. She'll be arraigned in GA 10 in New London this date. We want to thank the citizens of the city of Groton, the Groton Public Schools, and Project Learn Marine Science Magnet School with Dr. Nick Spera. This was a very fluid scenario. I think it drives home we are the region's primary employment location with EB and Pfizer, and it's a significant morning commute. We did inconvenience residents in the area, but we did it for their safety, and we didn't want anyone to get hurt. And anytime you can have a scenario like this occur where nobody gets hurt, and we have the party in custody, that's a successful resolution.
What happened with schools? Did you guys end up pulling back the 2-hour delay? Do you know?
No, they had the 2-hour delay. There was a possibility of a cancellation had this dragged on longer. Obviously, it's a significant impact on parents, and in an abundance of caution, we kept people out of that area, but fortunately we were able to resolve it literally about 10 minutes before we were going to pull the pin and cancel school this day.
Fox 61, Brian, when it comes to the protective order, do we know what it consisted of?
Protective order from a domestic violence situation, standard terms and conditions from what the previous case is. I'm not prepared now to comment on that. I just have the court order in front of me, which we would have to enforce.
Was that the relationship dissolved we talked about earlier?
Yes, it was. That was I made reference to previously.
And she was not supposed to be at that house?
She was not supposed to be at that house.
And
that was the unwanted person.
Any idea if she had lived there previously?
I don't want to comment on that pending current investigation. We put him in court. Yes.
Okay, so this woman, was it a domestic situation? Was it like ex-partner's house that?
It was a dissolved relationship, and our policy is we don't try to bring undue information in to identify a victim of a domestic violence situation if we can avoid it.
And the guns, she had one gun, two guns?
Our information right now is one gun, but we will be executing a search and seizure warrant and looking at what resolved inside the premises, and that may lead to additional charges. As I stated, this is an active criminal investigation at this point. We've gone from a scene, where we had to bring the TAC team unit in to it successfully resolved, and now we're conducting a criminal investigation.
What was ultimately the turning point? We heard you guys negotiating. We heard a little snippet of it. We know how these things go, but what was ultimately the turning point that led to this peaceful resolve today?
Once again, I want to give great credit to the Connecticut State Police with their personnel that come in and do the negotiations. It's unfortunate. We've had barricaded parties within the city of Groton, and we rely heavily on their expertise. They do a tremendous job, and they go in and the field had been laid, so to speak, by our personnel being out there able to de-escalate what was a rapidly escalating situation, and cooler heads ultimately prevailed, and we could talk, and it's refreshing when you can talk and you get a scenario where nobody gets hurt.
Backpedaling a little bit, we're live on Fox 61 right now, but when it comes to the gun, was it registered to her?
I don't have that information now. Yet she is a convicted felon, so she should not be in possession of a gun. As to who it's registered to, that is why we're pulling the search warrant, and we will be in contact by serial number to figure out where that weapon came from.
Do you know what any of her previous charges were?
I don't have it. I don't have it in front of me right now.
Do you want to bring him in?
I don't know what the previous charges were at this time.
Is there anything that you want to say as well?
They did an outstanding job between our officers and the state police coming in and the ESU unit coming in. They talked her out effectively. She came out and they took her into custody, searched her, and then provided her to our custody, which we brought her in and we'll be processing her and presenting her to court today.
For you guys, from a personal standpoint, what is it like being out there? I mean, you obviously want a good resolution to this, but it's a lot of hard work because you don't know what's going through someone's head or what's going on inside. So what is it like to really get to the point like you did this morning, where it ends with?
I think the main point in our point of view is everybody in the other houses are unhurt, got out safe, and it's a great relief to us that we don't have to cause any harm, or it's resolved peacefully. So they're not hurt, we're not hurt, everybody's good, and she'll answer for what she did, and the court will determine what that punishment is. So,
We did speak to a neighbor. All of us spoke to him, and he said that her lights may have been turned off. Is that correct at all?
I don't have that information right now. That would be a course of investigation that we'd be taking a look at what occurred, and to also reaffirm what the captain stated. Professional law enforcement today, we want to use the minimal amount of force to get the maximal outcome. And with the personnel that we had on site, we were able to achieve that. It's not fun being out there at 2 o'clock in the morning. You don't know where it's going to go. But ultimately, it was able to be peacefully resolved. And there's a lot of pieces that come into play. You got people in their everyday life that drive to Pfizer. People in their everyday life. I have to have my kids somewhere at 8 o'clock because it affects my job somewhere. And we had to factor that in. And we know we inconvenience people. But everybody was safe. Ultimately, we made the arrest. Nobody got hurt. And that's the most successful outcome we can have. And we're glad it was minimal inconvenience, actually.
Anything else?
Good.
Right,
And
thank
also,
you.
it's okay.
name and spelling.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's Captain Eric Jenkins, ERICK JENKINS.
One more time. Eric said
Eric Jenkins, ERICK JENKINS.
an official title.
Captain.
Okay. Thank you.
There's multiple.
Mug be sent out.
I'll try to do it. It depends how good I am on computers. Thank you both very much.
Perfect. Thank you so much.